Xin chào mọi người, I'm in Vietnam.
Ngồi uống cà phê đến tối, không giờ rồi mà anh chưa tới. Cà phê cất tí tách rơi, anh quên mất anh rồi. Ngồi uống cà phê đến tối, cần một mùa lời đang kéo tới. Cả đêm ngóng anh đến trời, anh sẽ chết em rồi.
Hi everyone and welcome to my Vietnam vlog. So here are my parents and I on the airplane, and the plane flight was really long, so they served us dinner and I watched Wicked while we ate, which was such a good movie, and they had bibimbap and they woke us up at random times to eat, so I was half awake most of the time, but yeah. After that, we had a several-hour layover in South Korea and we just explored a lot of the shops, and I got to go to one of the convenience stores, which was so cool, and have the whole Korean convenience store experience. And I got banana milk because I love banana milk, and here's a video of me drinking it, and it was so refreshing, especially after the long flight. After that, we hopped on our flight to Saigon and the food was mid. JK, but yeah, and I mainly slept most of the time, but when we finally got to Saigon, we were hit with humidity and rain, and we decided to go eat lunch because we were all super hungry, so we went to this gum spot that our tour guide recommended, and it was really good. Following that, we checked into our hotel and went to Tan, which is a super famous marketplace where you can buy a lot of souvenirs and other things, and we didn't get anything, but we definitely will be back to purchase some things. Then we were all pretty tired from our long flight, so we mainly just went back to the hotel. I didn't take a clip of this, but I went to a mani-pedi place where I got my nails done, my hair washed, a facial, and it helped me beat the jet lag, and the worker was so sweet. Our first full day in Vietnam. Welcome to day 2. So today we started off with a hotel breakfast and I ate some good fruit, and then we went to Sunday Mass at this beautiful church, and following that we visited my mom's childhood home. It was a really special experience because my mom hasn't been back since she immigrated, and just being able to go back and see where she grew up was really meaningful for all of us. And I could tell that it made her really happy. And next we visited the Independence Palace.
Hi everyone, so we are visiting the presidential palace right now, I believe. So yeah, wow, look at the greenery in the back. Yes, we're day 1 in Saigon, and it's already so hot, right Mom? It's very hot. Yeah, it's very hot, but we are really going to find a drink now.
This is the view from inside of the palace, and after that we went to Bưu Điện, which is this beautiful Saigon Central Post Office, and I got a few souvenirs. Then we were all really thirsty, so we went to this famous cafe spot, which is right across from this beautiful pink cathedral.
Hi everyone, so right now we are at Shannon, which is like a very pink, beautiful cathedral. Right across the street from it is a very famous coffee place. So I'm so excited, and look, it's so pink, and it's so fitting because my favorite color is pink. Okay, bye.
This was the view from inside the cafe, and I got a coconut coffee drink, and I don't even like coffee, but it was really good.
It's my old school Santikun.
After visiting my dad's old school, we went to get lunch at this pho place that my dad would eat growing up as a child, and it was really yummy, and the first pho place I had in Vietnam. Next, we visited my dad's childhood home, and it was really wholesome because he also hasn't been back since he immigrated. Finally, to end off our evening, we were all really hungry, so we went to Saigon Center, which is this really large shopping mall, and we got dinner at one of the restaurants with one of my dad's friends, and all of the food was really good, and it was mainly nyao, but I really liked it. This is a video of me eating bangkok. They also had spring roll papers that you didn't need to wrap in water, which I thought was super cool. Then we walked around the mall for a little bit, and I didn't buy anything at Uniqlo, but I bought some Onitsuka tiger shoes that I really wanted for a long time.
Hello and welcome to day 2 in Vietnam. We are eating a hotel breakfast and we're ready to leave for today since it's our last day in Saigon. Right now, we're eating bông cha. It's very comforting. And after, we're going to head out.
This is my little fit check for the day, and we then went to the cafe apartments. Just shout out to all my friends who recommended it.
Hi everyone, we're in front of the cafe apartments right now, and as you can see, it is so huge. I'm gonna go in and try some coffee.
I decided to go to a place called Pho Cafe where they had some kind of egg coffee drink that I wanted to try.
Hi everyone, so I'm at the cafe apartments in Vietnam, and I got the cafe Jung, which is the egg coffee, and it looks very good. Ooh, there's like creme brulee on top, so it's like super good. They said to eat the egg first, so wait, it's really good. very milky. But yeah, very nice area. There's so many cafes. I wish I could explore them all, but yeah, thanks for watching. So I mixed it a little bit more. It's very creamy and it's pretty sweet, but I like it. I feel like it's not too bitter, which is good. And I added some ice, so it's extra cold. As we're finishing the first day in Vietnam, it definitely went by super quickly. Yesterday was very memorable because we visited my parents' hometowns and we saw their schools since they've never been back since they immigrated to the US. That was really special and got to see some of my parents' old neighbors and catch up with them and also see their houses when they lived in Vietnam during their childhood, which was really cool. And yeah, I felt like Saigon, there's just so many things to do and it's always very busy. It's very hustle bustle and I don't know how people drive here. I respect it very much so because it's so chaotic. Like they're swerving lanes like there's no other. But yeah, I am excited for the rest of Vietnam and the weather is honestly not too hot and there was a bit of rain but it wasn't too bad, I would say. So yeah, I think the first few days so far have been pretty good and I'm excited for the rest.
Sorry, that was just me yapping, but after that we drove to a gorgeous Mary statue. Look at the views.
Everyone, we are at a pit stop on the way to Dalat and wow, look at this beautiful Mary statue. The view is also very pretty. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's so green. You can barely see it, but it's so beautiful and it's humid, but look at how green it is. Great pit stop, but yes, on to the next.
Following that, we ate lunch and I heard them chop a live chicken in the back and I was like, so not one of my favorite spots. But then we drove to Dalat and we checked into our hotel and got dinner at this Lao Ga place, and I've never had chicken hot pot before, but it was pretty interesting and there were a lot of different chicken parts. And this is a video of me eating a chicken kidney and it popped in my mouth like boba. And then we went back to the hotel to sleep because it was a long 6.5 hour drive. Good morning and welcome to day 4 in Dalat. So we started off with a hotel breakfast and this was honestly the most bougie hotel breakfast that we had out of all the hotels we stayed at, and there are so many different food options and this is what I got.
Hi everyone, welcome to day 3 in Vietnam. So we have a breakfast buffet today and we're in Dalat. So the hotel is very nice. There is a lot of variety as you can see. And I also got an egg and I also got some very hot pseudo naan, which is soybean milk. And I added some condensed milk into it as well. But yeah, okay, let's give it a bite. This is jaya. We also have bun bot lo. There's some kind of filling inside of it. And we also have some kun. Now we have an assortment of fruit. We have passion fruit, guava, mango, and cantaloupe. I love fruit. Ooh, need some dip on the side as well.
The fruit was so fresh in Vietnam, I loved it. After breakfast, we went to a Nha Trang Con Ga, which is a church with a chicken at the top, which I didn't even see it until my tour guide pointed it out, but yeah. Next, we drove to Dalat, where I was able to go on an alpine coaster, which was so fun and so scenic, and it led to this beautiful waterfall at the end. As you can see here, the views were absolutely stunning. We're on a coaster! And here are a few more clips of the alpine coaster. As you can see, there are a lot of uphill inclines and also a lot of downhills, and it was overall super fun. We then finally made it to the bottom of the waterfall, and wow, it was so gorgeous. We also took some pictures, and overall this was one of my favorite places that I visited in Vietnam, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's visiting Dalat. After a while, we took the alpine coaster back up to where we first came from.
Hi everyone, so we are on the alpine coaster in Dalat and it is so cool and fun. Oh my gosh, I'm driving it with one hand right now, but this is so scenic. Look at the beautiful greenery. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the recording so I can go super fast. Okay, bye.
We next stopped by a pretty lake and then we headed to a temple in Dalat. And there was also a lot of stunning greenery there as well, and as you can see, the flowers were in bloom, so it was extra nice. Then we went to a nearby restaurant just to rest and get some coffee, and I got this mini coffee sampler, but it wasn't my favorite. I did not like the black sesame drink, but the other 2 drinks that I got were okay. Shortly after, we went went to the famous flower park in Dalat, and wow, like all the flowers again were in bloom and they were all so colorful and there were so many different kinds of flowers, and I really liked this park overall even though it rained when we went. And I wish we could have spent more time here because the park itself is so huge, as you can see from the clips here, and there's so many things to do. But because it started raining quite a bit, we left and then drove to go visit a pagoda, which was super cool to see, and it started raining even harder, as you can see here. After that, we went back to the hotel to take a nap, and then when it stopped raining, we went to a crazy house, as they call it. And wow, they were right, like the architecture was absolutely wild and unlike anything I've seen before, and it seemed like it was straight out of a Studio Ghibli movie, and it was so cool to just walk around and on the wonky stairs and everything. But I could definitely spend several hours here, but we shortly left after because it was closing and we were hungry, so we got dinner at this place where they had a lot of different goat dishes, which was interesting. So here's me eating a roll and wrapping it, and it was pretty yummy. Following dinner, we went to the Jadam, which is a night market in Dalat, and they had this every single day, and it was so crowded when we went. We got some souvenirs and it was just really fun to look around, and it reminded me of my Jadam back at home. To end off our long day, we went to the maze bar, which I saw on TikTok, and wow, this was very similar to Crazy House. The architecture was very unique and I definitely got lost in it several times. And there's also multiple stories, which is super cool.
Hi everyone, so I am at Maze Bar right now. It's this really cool, intricate maze, and I got a Blue Lagoon drink, so let's see how it is. It tastes very strong, but this is such a nice bar. Wow. Okay, bye.
This bar was also super trippy because it was really dark, so at times I would have to use my phone flashlight just to get up and down the very narrow set of stairs, which was really fun but also kind of scary at the same time. Overall, I wish I could have spent more time here, but the architecture was so cool to look at. Welcome to day 5 in Vietnam. So today we're leaving Dalat, sadly, and headed to Nha Trang. So we started off with our hotel breakfast as always, and then before driving to Nha Trang, we decided to make a pit stop and visit this forest in the middle of nowhere, which was really interesting because the trees were really beautiful, but the roads were really bumpy because there were a lot of rocks and gravel on the ground, and it also took a really long time. But overall, it was a really memorable experience.
Hi everyone, so right now we are at a pit stop all the way to Nha Trang, and we reached this forest. It's a very bumpy road, but I love nature, and apparently this place is called Marung, which is like a ghost forest, so kind of spooky, kind of freaky, but you know, ooh, look at the beautiful nature views. Love that.
Next, we drove straight to Nha Trang and stopped by this absolutely breathtaking temple and saw some performances. After a while, we checked into our hotel in Nha Trang and then drove to dinner where we ate at this delicious seafood buffet. There were a lot of different kinds of seafood and they were all super fresh, so I really enjoyed a lot of it, and so did my parents since they really like seafood as well. And here's some clips of me eating the seafood and also drinking some soju to wash it down. But yeah, really yummy dinner and super filling. Welcome to day 6 in Nha Trang. So we started off with our hotel breakfast as always, and then stopped by this aquarium. It's called the Museum of Oceanography, where we saw a lot of different sea life. Next, we stopped by Highlands Coffee to grab a few drinks, and it's a super popular chain in Vietnam. We then went to Thap Ba, which is a famous mud bath place, and it was so pretty.
Hi vlog, so right now I am decked out in my mud bath fit and about to go on a mud bath with my family, so super excited for that. I'll let you know how it goes. We are at the jacuzzi right now, and we just finished the mud bath and had a hydrotherapy session.
Following the mud bath, I swam at the beach for a few hours and it was so nice and warm. For dinner, I went to Dan Ca Nương, and it was honestly one of the best places that I tried, and everything was so fresh and so cheap. Shout out to my friend Azura for recommending this place to me. One of my favorite places that I ate in Vietnam for sure. Welcome to day 7 in Vietnam.
Hi vlog, good morning. Welcome to another day in Vietnam. We just had breakfast and we're about to check out of our hotel,
and we're on our way to another city now, which will be super fun. So this day is mainly driving, but yes, I'll catch you later. First, we got Highlands coffee after breakfast, and then we drove past the beach, which was so beautiful as always. And then we headed to this restaurant called Peace Restaurant, and it was right by the water, and it was so scenic. It was located at the bottom of a hill, so we had to walk down, but it was literally a floating restaurant and so cool. Hi vlog, right now we made a pit stop and we are fishing our own food for lunch, as you can see here. So cool! As you can see, there were so many different types of seafood and everything was so fresh, and the lobster was my favorite. Although this food was arguably on the pricier side compared to everything else we ate in Vietnam. Later, we just spent the rest of the day driving to Quy Nhon and took this very scenic coastal pathway. Welcome to day 8 in Vietnam. So we started off the day with hotel breakfast as always, and then drove to this place where they sold fresh coconut, and it was so refreshing. And we also ate some durian as well, and I didn't like the texture at first, but then I got used to it and it was pretty good and sweet. Next we drove to Hoi An and we got lunch at this place that I found on Google, and it's called Nha Trang QQ, and it was honestly one of the best places that I ate at in Vietnam. And there's so many different dishes, and wow, everything was so flavorful and came out so quickly, and yeah, definitely a 10. Then we explored all of the surrounding markets in Hoi An and got a few souvenirs and definitely did some bargaining and negotiating. Next we walked around the Hoi An ancient town, saw a lot of pretty lanterns, and went on this beautiful lantern ride, and they played such calming music and it was so peaceful. And we also got our own origami paper lantern with a candle inside to release in the water for a wish, and it was super cool to do. It was overall such a crowded area. As you can see, there's so many boats on the water, but it was honestly a really great experience and super inexpensive as well. Finally, we walked around a little bit more in Hoi An and then headed back to our hotel to sleep. Welcome to day 9 in Vietnam. So we started off the day again with hotel breakfast, and then we headed to a cooking class in Hoi An where my mom and I learned how to make a lot of different Vietnamese dishes. And as you can see here, she's very well versed in it, and it was really fun since I do meal prep and cook at home, but it was nice to learn how other regions in Vietnam cook Vietnamese dishes. And there were 4 dishes that we made. So we made chai yaw, bánh xèo, gỏi, and also mi sao, and they honestly all tasted pretty good. And it was also probably because we were all super hungry, but it was a really fun bonding experience. And I think my favorite was probably the bánh xèo or the chai yaw, just because it was really crispy, but everything was super filling. And shout out to the instructor who taught us how to cook the dishes. And this is me eating the chai yaw after my mom and I's hard work. Following lunch, my dad and I went on a coconut boat ride in Hoi An, and it was so fun and chaotic because it was raining super hard and there are a lot of coconut boats on the water, but it was a really great experience, one of the most fun activities that I did in Vietnam for sure. And here's me on the boat, and I honestly really appreciated that it rained because it made it a lot less humid, and the worker that went with us was so friendly, so shout out to him. And we also saw a bunch of coconut trees, which was really cool, and went deep inside the coconut village, as you can see here. And it was so nice and honestly like a fever dream and a half. But you know what? They started blasting Gangnam Style on the JBL speakers, and I was so confused, but it was honestly such a vibe, and everyone was dancing and singing, and it was very chaotic, but I liked it. And my dad and I were prepping to go on the famous spinning coconut boat ride, which I was so excited for. After the fun spinning ride, we started to go fishing for crabs, but we sadly didn't find any, so we headed back and drove straight to Da Nang, where we checked into a beautiful hotel and then changed, got ready, and headed straight to Sunday Mass at this gorgeous cathedral. Following Sunday Mass, we drove straight to dinner at this Michelin guide restaurant that I found called Bếp Gun, and it was really good. Again, one of the best meals that I had in Vietnam. Everything was so cheap and it was all so filling. And that was day 9, and welcome to day 10 of Vietnam. So we started off with hotel breakfast again, and here's me eating a bowl of pho, which was okay, but not my favorite, I would say. And then we drove straight to Bana Hills, and oh my gosh, it was so green, and it just rained, so everything was really cool. And I got some mango ice cream, yum. And the place we went to is called Sun World, so it's one of the big amusement parks in Vietnam. And as you can see, there is a lot of nature, and it was such a large amusement park, so we literally spent the whole day there. And wow, like the architecture was stunning, the plants are so green, and it was hands down one of the best and one of my most favorite places that we went to in Vietnam. And then we took a cable car up to the actual amusement park, and if you have a fear of heights, maybe this isn't for you, but it was around 20 to 30 minutes long, and we saw a waterfall on our way up, and it was a bit rainy, so it was absolutely just breathtaking. When we finally got to the actual amusement park, we walked around a lot and explored the entire village. And as you can see here, there's so many different art sculptures made out of rock, and we finally got to the golden hand bridge, and it was so windy, as you can see, and so crowded, but the architecture was beautiful. The views were absolutely out of this world, like one of the best views I've ever seen ever. And yeah, no filter, literally, wow. We also had to take another cable car to the Golden Hands Bridge, but after that, we took the cable car back down and went to go eat lunch at this buffet that was included in the package that we bought. And it was honestly not my favorite, but there were some things that were good, such as the roast duck. After lunch, we went to the famous Pop Mart Castle, and I didn't get anything since I'm not really into Pop Mart, but it was cool to see. Lastly, we walked around the parks a little bit more and then took the cable car back down, and it was super foggy and raining during this time, which was kind of spooky but also pretty cool. Next, we drove straight to Hue, and we had bún bò Hue for dinner, which I thought would be good, but I sadly did not like it. Welcome to another day in Vietnam. So after hotel breakfast, we just walked around and saw a bunch of different temples and ancient palaces, which were all really pretty, but it was also very humid at the same time. But walking around made me feel like I was in a historical V-drama. And after a few hours in Hue, we then decided to stop by a cafe place to grab some coffee, and it was really cheap. And then we headed to our last stop, which was another temple in Hue. Then we had lunch and then drove straight to Vinh for the rest of the day. Welcome to day 12 in Vietnam. So we started off the day with eel soup, which sounds sus, but it was delicious. And it's apparently a very famous dish. And then we saw some buffalo, and then we drove straight to Halong Bay. And it was so beautiful and scenic, reminds me a bit of Nha Trang. And then we headed to Chill Beach Bar for dinner, where we had a few drinks and also just some nhau. And it was honestly so nice because it was right by the beach, and it was very beautifully decorated, and the food was good, and it was happy hour, so we got a few cocktails to share. And then following that, the last thing that we did was walked around a small marketplace. Good morning, welcome to another day in Vietnam. No hotel breakfast today. We ate soy muk, which is basically sticky rice with squid, and it was absolutely delicious. And after that, we headed to Halong Bay to go on a boat tour to a few different caves. And luckily it wasn't raining, so it was a very sunny day.
Hi everyone, so right now we are at Halong Bay and we're going on a cruise, and it's so pretty, as you can see the view right here. I think we're going to 3 caves today, so yeah, stay tuned and show you some surprises.
The ride to the first cave was an hour and a half long, and it was so scenic, as you can see from the clips here. Cave! So pretty! Whoa! We then finally arrived to our first cave, and then we had to transfer from our original boat to a smaller boat to go to the cave, and we saw a bunch of monkeys, which was really cute, and we fed them a bunch of bananas. And I tried to feed the baby monkey a banana, but then I accidentally threw it to the bigger monkey, so I felt bad. But it was really cool seeing all the different monkeys, and there were so many of them, and my mom's favorite animal is a monkey, so she particularly enjoyed this. We then went under the cave, and it was a bit dark inside and it was sprinkling a little bit, but the view on the outside was absolutely breathtaking, like no words, and wow. And we stayed here for a little while, and then after a bit we headed to our next cave, which was around a 7-minute drive from this one, and it was a lot darker than the last one, but I honestly really liked it as well. It was more underground, and there were a lot of steps to get both up and down to the actual cave itself, and the formation of the rocks was really fascinating to me. And the workers even took a picture of us and gave us a little keychain to keep, which was really cute. We lastly went to our very final location, which is a 400-step island or hill, and we did a hike up that, and I got a bunch of bug bites, but you know what, it's okay because the view at the top was so worth it. But then it was hot, so we made our way back down and ate lunch on the boat. Following the unforgettable boat trip, we drove straight to Hanoi, and then we went straight to dinner at this Michelin guide pho place, and it was yummy. We had to wait a little bit, but it was cool to try northern style pho, which I've never had before. Welcome to day 14 in Hanoi. So we started off with hotel breakfast, and then we just did a lot of shopping today at various places, and we got dinner at this Michelin star restaurant called Tran. So shout out to Isabelle for recommending it to me, but we got a bunch of dishes to try, and I also got matcha tiramisu after, which is my favorite dessert. Welcome to day 15 in Hanoi. So we started off again with hotel breakfast, and then we walked around, and I also wore a mask most of the time because the air quality wasn't the best. And then we stumbled upon the famous train street in Hanoi, and we stopped by and got some hot egg coffee and visited the famous One Pillar Pagoda. A lot later in the day, we stopped by banh mi for a little snack, and it was okay. And then we got some jaya, which was refreshing, and then we walked around a little bit more, and then just did a lot more souvenir shopping, and then went to Sunday Mass at Nha Trang, which is this very large cathedral in Hanoi. And after Mass, we walked to the famous Bung Cha place that President Obama and Anthony Bourdain ate at, and it was honestly one of my least favorite meals that I had in Vietnam. But after dinner, a lot of the streets were blocked off due to a national holiday happening in Vietnam, so we walked around for a bit for the rest of the night. Welcome to day 16 Vietnam. So we first took a flight from Hanoi to Saigon, and then after that we rested for a little bit, and then we walked to eat dinner in Saigon Center, and we had dinner with one of my dad's friends, and we had Japanese barbecue, which was so delicious and so cheap, and there was also a hot pot as well, and we tried Wagyu, and it was so soft, and wow, it was so filling. I loved it. After dinner, we did a bit of shopping in Saigon Center, and then we walked around Nguyen Hue Street, and I saw this adorable fluffy white doggo, and here's me petting the dog, so cute. And then my family and I found this Saigon double-decker bus tour that we went on, and it was really cool to see the streets of Saigon at night and all the touristy sites, and the city views were really beautiful. And yeah, welcome to the very last full day in Vietnam. So we started off again with hotel breakfast, and here's me eating some pho, and then I got this delicious caramel matcha tiramisu from this local cafe, and then we did some shopping at Chợ Bán Than and got some souvenirs, and later we stopped by a very tall financial tower, and then went to Saigon Square for a bit more shopping, and then stopped by Vincom Plaza for dinner. We ate at the Poseidon Buffet in Saigon since my parents really liked the same buffet in Nha Trang, and again, a lot of different types of seafood. All of it was super fresh, and I definitely ate my fill. There was shrimp, which was delicious, and a lot of different dipping sauces, and overall a good last dinner in Vietnam. Our last morning in Vietnam is so sad, so bittersweet. We first got banh mi Hue and Halong, which is a very famous banh mi spot. Thank you, Tran, for recommending it to me. And then hopped on our flight back home to SoCal. Overall, I had an amazing trip, and these are my city rankings, even though I thoroughly enjoyed my time in each city. So first, I would say that Da Nang is my favorite city because the beaches are beautiful even though I didn't get to swim in them, and all the food I ate in Da Nang was really good. And the Golden Hands Bridge at Sun World in Van Na Hills was one of my most favorite sites that I visited in Vietnam, and I wish I could have spent more time there. The city overall is also super clean. Secondly, I also really love Nha Trang, the beautiful beaches. All the food that I ate was amazing, and there's a lot of nightlife and a lot of tourists, and it's super lively, so I'd rank it as number 2. Third, even though the caves at Halong Bay were probably one of the most beautiful sites that I visited in Vietnam, I'll just say the city itself was really eerily empty, but I think this was mainly because of the typhoons, but the food was also good, so I'd rank it pretty high as well. I would honestly say Dalat is tied with Halong Bay just because I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. There's stunning nature, amazing architecture such as Crazy House, there's really beautiful waterfalls, and the fun alpine coaster. So overall, I really enjoyed it, and the food was great. Next, for Saigon, I would probably not rank it as one of my favorites, but there's a lot of great places to shop at as well as a lot of good places to eat at. And obviously this is my parents' hometown, but personally for me it was just so busy and overwhelming at times, so I wouldn't rank it any higher. Next on my list is Hoi An, and I really liked it. I feel like this is also pretty closely tied with Saigon, but I really enjoyed the Coconut Village boat tours and cooking class, and also just exploring the ancient town and going on the lantern rides, looking through the vintage shops. But I feel like Hoi An is mainly for nightlife instead of day life, which is also what my tour guides who are locals told me. Next, for Hanoi, I think there is such rich cultural heritage and history in the city itself, and there's iconic food places and tourist sites, but I personally feel the same way about it as I do for Saigon. It is just very busy and the air quality isn't the best, so I would rank it second to last, even though it was a wonderful place to visit as well. And last on my list is Hue, even though again it was a great city to visit. I just think the weather there was the most unbearable, and the ancient architecture and historical sites were beautiful, but I think the food that I ate was my least favorite out of all of the cities that I went to in Vietnam, so therefore I rank it as the last on my list. But overall, again, all the cities that I went to in Vietnam were so fun, and it was so memorable to get to do a road trip throughout the entire country and see a lot of sites that I wouldn't have seen otherwise if I flew from place to place. And again, like, shout out to my immigrant parents, and also shout out to our amazing tour guides Chu Dai and Chu Hai for just taking us around the entire country and showing us what it's like to be in Vietnam. And it was so cool to be back in my homeland for the first time and to get to see my parents' hometowns and to explore my own culture, my roots, and everything with that. So yeah, thank you for watching my vlog, and until next time.